Hey everybody, it's the Zen Witch with another Tarot unboxing, and I haven't unboxed a classic in a while. So here we go. Following on last week's kitty decks, we have Tarot of the Cat People. This is not like those decks that are cute and based on domestic cats. This was had to be the first deck that was themed on cats, and it's the Cat People. So this is instructions and designs by Karen Kuykendall. Image on the back. The Tarot of the Cat People blends Tarot symbolism with the imagery of science fiction and fantasy. Cats appear everywhere, enhancing interpretation of the deck, complete with booklet of instructions. The full-color 78-card Tarot of the Cat People is set in a distant place known as the Outer Regions. Each card depicts a full-length portrait of a stunning figure in ornate dress with elaborate jewelry and headdress. And this is U.S. Games 1985. So some part of the first crop of decks that I got, and of course being a cat person, I bought Tarot of the Cat People. We have the little white book. We have a blank card. And is there another? Yes, two. So this deck gives you two actually blank cards. And what I love about these is that you can add your own card to the deck, or you can use them as blocking cards. And so it would be cool to even put a sigil, or if you even put a pentagram on each of them, but you could customize those cards for blocking your deck. And that's very thoughtful, I think. So here's the back. We have double cats. The cats in this deck are really chunky. There's a very Asian influence, and I don't remember this from the outside at all. So the bit about outer regions, distant place, and being fantasy, and I just took it as this is a tarot deck, and here's the way they did it. So very cool to revisit some of these decks. Here's the Fool. So right off the bat, we can see that we've got that we're being true to standard iconography. This one's got somebody stepping off a cliff with a cat biting its heels. So we have the domesticated cat, but I love the cats in this deck are all kind of cobby. Cobby cats are like in England. Their domestic short hairs have these really chunky faces, and they call it cobby, where in the U.S. they tend to have more elongated. So there's the Fool. There's the Magician. Look at this. I mean, I'm thinking of like No Theater, or what's the other Japanese theater? I can't think. Kabuki. Thinking of Kabuki here. So we see the Magician with this cat on top of his head. And there are the four elements. So again, we've got established in those first two cards that we are following the iconography of standard tarot. Here's the High Priestess. Look at how beautiful. I mean, I love concept art, and when artists can really pull things together into a cohesive style like this. So the Empress harkens back to the cats on the back of the cards. And there's her little, what is that, a snow leopard? She has a snow leopard. I'm looking at the robe. And so trying to figure out what's on that robe, but I don't know. All right, the Emperor, he's got a leopard. Looks like a snow leopard as well, with the big cats in the background. The High Priest. High Priest rather than Hierophant. The Lovers. Look how beautiful. And look at the cats. When I taught my first tarot class, there was a woman in the class who was, just didn't have much experience with it, but she was drawn to it, and she got this deck. And the final exam for the class, sorry, I'm going to open the water here. The final exam for the class was they had to do a reading for me. Just a, generalized reading. I gave them no question. And it was kind of fascinating because there was someone in the class that was a witch. And so it's funny. I always assume that witches and pagans are down with having readings, but having been at a major pagan festival and offering readings, you wouldn't believe how many of them were like, no, I don't want to know. I'm not going to predict your future. So this person did a reading for me, and it was painful. It was really painful. She was so terribly unsure of herself. And, I felt for her. It was hard to sit through because there wasn't a reading. I mean, literally, she didn't say anything. She laid the cards out. She looked them up. And I waited and waited and waited and waited and waited for her to make a statement. And she just couldn't do it. And I remember just saying, just read the meanings out of the book. Just read the meanings out of the book, because that would tell me whether she had a connection with the deck. Because even if she didn't have it internalized, you have a connection with the deck, you lay the cards out, they're going to connect. They're going to connect with the issue, and they're going to validate. And she couldn't even get that far. And I finally just said, okay, never mind, but I mean, literally, she told me nothing. She said no words at all. And I mean, I felt so bad because she was just blocked. The person that didn't really know much about anything, but she got this deck because she thought it was really cool, and she took the class and she laid them out and did a reading, and it was just bang on. It was amazing. So I know that the deck is a good one, and in her hands at the very least. The Chariot. Oh, look at those. Justice. No blindfold on Justice. The Hermit. I'm trying to get a place where it will readily focus. It's so hard because I'm holding these at an angle. I know they have to be at a slight angle, and it's just very difficult for the camera to pick. Oh. So there is the Hermit and the Wheel of Fortune. There is a very Eastern feel to these to me. I mean, you can clearly see we had snow leopards. We had something that looked like kabuki. They're just very Eastern looking and so attractive. Look at that. Wouldn't you love to have that on your wall? I would. This is Strength. So in this Strength card, she's not just like petting the lion in her lap or walking beside it. She's riding it. And there is a goddess in Hinduism named Durga who rides a tiger. This is the Hanged Man with the cat keeping his foot warm. Death. Temperance. I mean, they're so elegant, and I love the stylized shading, the swirls and things in the background. They're just, it's so cohesive as a deck, as a body of work. The Devil. Oh dear. Them cats are possessed, or they're very scared. Those ears are very scared cat ears. There we go, the Tower. The cat-shaped tower that's exploding. Oh, kitty falling too. The Star. They're slippery. She's levitating the cat. The Moon. Now we're departing a little bit from the imagery. Usually the moon doesn't show a person. There's the crayfish and the wolf and the dog. The Sun. Ooh. How appropriate that there is a lion there. The lion, symbol of Leo, sign that is ruled by the sun. That's wonderful. And we have, rather than Judgment, we have Rejuvenation. That's a really great meaning for this. Look, it's like she's broken out of a cocoon of some sort. I love this imagery. Judgment can be difficult. It's one of the cards of change in the majors. And I usually talk about, transformation in terms of you have changed. You've evolved to a point, lessons, you have one of those aha moments, and you kind of change, your whole perspective changes, and so everything out that you're dealing with changes because you have changed. But I love the rejuvenation. It's like rising again. I mean, that's even more accurate than what I say, I think. And there's the world. So that's very different from standard. But it's very in line with the books. That's almost like Mayan looking, isn't it? Just beautiful. Ace of Wands. You know, I'm going to take the majors out because just the size of the deck, which is pretty normal size, they're slipping against each other. The Ace of Wands, the 2. And here we kind of depart. He's just holding 2 wands and there's a cat in front of them. So you're not going to be able to entirely intuit from just the images. I mean, what would you say about that? He's got 2 wands in his hands that look like they're glowing, so maybe torches, so he's seeing his way forward, he's looking to the future. That is what the 2 of Wands means. So maybe I'm wrong. And here's the 3 of Wands, which usually shows ships coming in. Well, she certainly looks successful and that she has status. The 4. Oh. He has put them cats to sleep. Look at those kitties. So 4 of Wands, is usually the marriage card. It shows 4 people building and that the wands are put into a structure. Here they're kind of knocked down with the cats. So I'm going to set that one aside because I want to see what they say there. 5 of Wands, yes, cross purposes, lots of energies. And look at this, the energies are tripping him up. It's like he's juggling, and the cat's in there too, and it's kind of a mess. The 6. Why can't I think of 6 of Wands right now? Wow. Victory card, that's it. Durr! 7, sometimes that happens. 7 of Wands can kind of talk about overcoming problems, being able to hold off or forestall problems. There's the 8, which really shows some juggling going on now. So things happening fast, a lot of things to keep up with. 9 of Wands, that harkens back to traditional. And the 10 of Wands, which talks about oppression, usually. Then we have Page and Knight and Queen and King. And you know, decks back in the 80s when they really started making a lot of them, I want to say that those decks really did not depart. They really were sticking close to traditional tarot and just putting their own spin. Now we see decks that are really far afield from that and really are tools that stand on their own with their own set of meanings and own set of images and own, context and structure and everything else. And it's really cool to see what the evolution has been. Here's the Ace of Swords, with a pretty wigged out cat there. That's pretty intimidating. You have that on your shield to intimidate your enemies. And the 2 of Swords, no blindfolds here. 3. Okay, so 3 of Swords usually showing swords piercing a heart, but you can certainly see the heartache that's going on there. The 4, which talks about a break or a rest. I mean, she looks like she's kind of relaxing playfully. Let's look at that one too. 5, victory or defeat. 6, moving towards a goal. And 7, the Thief card, but there's a cat floating in the air. Hey! 8, again, no blindfolds in this deck. She doesn't look like she's entirely surrounded by the swords. 9, and I see he looks sad, but not like grief-stricken. But here we go. There's destruction. That looks like the 10 of Swords. Page, and the Knight, and the Queen, and the King. Just, again, the style is absolutely beautiful, and that was one of the main things. I mean, back then when I got this, I was consciously starting the collection, but it wasn't, I'm going to collect every deck I can get my hands on, kind of like it is now. It was, these are the ones I'm attracted to. So the artwork certainly attracted me, along with the cats here. Look at the Ace of Cups. Look at that cat. Ah, yes, that is a happy cat. The 2 showing partnership. The 3 showing celebration. Are we celebrating? With only one person, though. 4, partied out, or just disappointed, worn out. 5 of Cups. Okay, so they've got their hands out, and I want to know why. We'll see how well they describe them in the book. 6 of Cups. I did not look at this deck before I pulled it off the shelf tonight. The 6, talking about childhood and reminiscences and looking back. Look at that cat looking back. Yep. 7 of Cups. 8. 9. The Wish card. Ooh, that's nice. And the 10. Happiness and fulfillment. Yeah, you know what? When you got 5 cats, I'm smothered in cats. Yes, that's happiness and fulfillment. Thank you very much. Now we have the Page, the Knight on a tiger. We have the Queen, also with a tiger, and the King. So tiger is the one. And I didn't look at the courts for the other ones closely enough, but I'm thinking that so we've got a Black Panther, Black Leopard, that is for the swords. We have a Bobcat. There's a Bobcat for the wands. So a Bobcat, a Black Leopard. What have I missed here? And we're just starting Pentacles. So we have a Bobcat, a Black Leopard, and a tiger so far for the suits, and it seems like they only show up that kind in the court cards. Not sure. Have I been paying attention? Who knows? Ace of Pentacles. 2, juggling resources. The 3 of Mastery. That's great. 4. Ooh, this is great because look, she's got so many coins in her lap that she's trying to hold on to that she can't do anything else. That's a great depiction of avarice. 5, out in the cold. Again, that kabuki hair. 6, money that's not worked for. A gift. Look at this. Ooh, look at them cats. If you have cats, you can hear the sound right now. 7 of Pentacles, the 8. Apprenticeship and musical instruments. I love seeing musical instruments show up in decks. There's been a couple in this deck. The 9 and the 10. Ah. And so in this suit we have, here's the Page. I just see domestic cats. Oh, we've got a leopard here. And the Queen and the King. All right. Let's look at the book and look at these 3 that I pulled out and then see, oops, if we can maybe get a little reading out of here. So, Tarot of the Cat People, U.S. Games, 1985. There's an introduction, but it's the general introduction by Stuart Kaplan. So, with U.S. Games, the early decks, sorry, I keep messing with my hair. I can feel it frizzing from the humidity. But Stuart Kaplan I need to find out more about him, but his hand was on all these early decks of US games. So right here we have his introduction of just basically the tarot, because like I said, all the decks that came out early then were in that standard tarot format, just the art deviated. And let's see what he says. He's talking about Kuykendall, born in 1928. Raised in San Diego, California, she received a Bachelor of Arts degree from San Jose State University in 1950 and continued her education with studies in motion picture costume design. That makes an awful lot of sense. Okay, so talking about accomplishments in her career. Presently, Karen Kuykendall continues to paint and create a line of papier-mâché jewelry similar to that seen on the figures in the Tarot of the Cat People. Holy moly! She appears at science fiction conventions dressed in the rich flowing costumes and elegant jewelry of the cat people. Her favorite subjects for art are richly costumed people, fantasy and science fiction, equestrians, and of course cats, modeled on the 10 cats that keep her company in her desert home while she works. The artist devoted more than 2 years to the preparation of the original art for Tarot of the Cat People. Each original card was painted in acrylic on board measuring 9.5 inches by 15.5 inches. With great skill and control, the artist splattered the backgrounds using a toothbrush. The stunning figures and felines are set in the world of the outer regions. U.S. Game Systems is proud to publish this outstanding tarot deck, which successfully blends the symbolism of the tarot with the fascinating imagery of science fiction and fantasy. So really interesting. And now, you know, I studied costume design briefly, long enough to realize that I didn't care that much about clothes. And this, I mean, just the costuming says a lot. Costume design is about making a statement with the clothing. And so that's the perfect person to do something like a tarot deck, because you're used to thinking in symbolism anyway. All right, let's continue with the book. Cat People of the Outer Regions. The Outer Regions. Okay, the description of the outer regions are excerpted from a traveler's report that will be published in full in the forthcoming book by the artist. The outer regions, the great unknown, the unexplored, the great beyond, a vast area very, very far away, very mysterious, totally alien, a land that, because of the remoteness and hostility to life as most people know it, has assumed legendary proportions, fueled by the tales of those few daring explorers and intrepid traders who have returned with exotic artifacts and rare jewels. Okay, and then it goes on, and I am not going to read all of that. The 5 kingdoms of the outer regions. It's divided into 5 kingdoms, the borders of which have never been formally defined due to the vastness of the terrain and the sheer logistics of getting from point to point. Border disputes do not exist, for no one knows or cares exactly where the borders are. The 5 kingdoms of the outer regions correspond to the major arcana and the 4 suits. Vapala, the Diamond Kingdom, whose inhabitants are called the Sky People. That's the majors. So there's this whole fantasy thing that you can dive into here. Wow. Then the Suit of Swords is Thnosis, T-H-N, Thnosis. The Ruby Kingdom, whose people are called the Fire People. The Suit of Wands is Twahihik. Twahihik. She gives you the way that you pronounce it. It's T-W-A-H-I-H-I-C. But it's Twahihik. The Emerald Kingdom, whose people are known as the Sand People. So swords are ruby, and I'm looking at the reds here. Wands are emerald. I'm looking at the greens. The Suit of Cups is Ajengir, the Topaz Kingdom, whose inhabitants are called the Salt People. So we have the Fire People, the Sand People, the Salt People, and then let's grab a pentagram. Pentacles are Kahulawe, the Sapphire Kingdom. Okay, and they're called the Rock People. Fire, sand, what was this one again? Fire, sand, salt, and rock. Interesting. All right, let me look at these 4 that I pulled out here. So we get the basic little white book descriptions. There is a description of the image, and then there are divinatory meanings, and then the reverse meanings. That is standard early U.S. Games fare there. And Okay, let's go to Four of Swords first, since swords come up first. And here again, we have a thing where they start with the king and they go backwards. Now, when you open the deck, it is from the aces on. And then we go through the suits backwards, and it never says why. I don't understand why people choose to do that, because nobody ever explains it. If you're going to do it, say why. Okay. A woman enjoys the play of her companion cats. In watching their antics, she can't forget the problems and anxieties of the past while savoring the little joys of the present. She wears a loose, comfortably draped robe, here's the costume designer, and a simple head ornament without which she would feel undressed in the presence of her cats. The swords form a pattern suggesting stability and strength. Respite, rest after illness, repose, replenishment, solitude, exile, retreat, temporary seclusion, abandonment. Those meanings are like textbook Rider-Waite Tarot, U.S. Games Tarot meanings. So I see the description of the artwork, but then we've got the standard meanings. So it says stability and strength here and repose. You know, she's kind of kicking back. But do you get exile or, I mean, seclusion? Yes, but I don't get abandonment. And that's the upright meaning. Reverse, activity, circumspection, precaution, economy, guarded advancement, desire to recover what is lost. See, this is why they tell you to throw away the book, because all of these early decks really had these same meanings to them. So rather than just slap those meanings on by rote, they really had to encourage people to go with the image and go with what your intuition tells you about it. So yeah, interesting. And then Four of Wands and Five of Cups. Let's see what the Four of Wands says. And this one, Four of Wands usually has the wands upright, a man and woman building something together like a canopy for a wedding or something. A man relaxes with his companion cats and his lyre. He is away from the bustling crowds of an urban environment and is as one with the rocks. But see, these are the sand people. Rock, sun, and sky. He wears a loose drape to signify his carefree mood. The cats have left his wands in disarray after playing with them and now lie in total relaxation. And then it says romance, society, harmony, newly acquired prosperity, peace, tranquility, the fruits of labor, rest after strife. I'm not getting that from the picture. Are you getting romance from this? I'm not. Okay. And you know, I'm even more impressed with the woman that did a reading for me with this deck, because she clearly had internalized and had the personal connection with the deck that was true. It worked. All right, Five of Cups. A couple faces opposite directions. They are going their separate ways. They stand together but do not touch. Their cups are empty, as the cat discovers to its disappointment. Their backs are to the window, which lets in the light and beckons to better things, but they are in a rut and fear to try something new. Partial loss, regret, friendship without real meaning, marriage without real love, imperfection, flaw, delayed inheritance, incomplete union and partnership. Now that looks like what they've, what the meaning has given there. All right. Let's do a quick little three-carder. And like the early U.S. Games decks, which were all pretty standard just as far as the card stock and how they're produced, shuffle wonderfully. Oops, somebody's out there doing some target practice. Oof. Okay. All right. I'm just going to shuffle 3 times this way, cut, shuffle 3 times. And when I'm doing these reviews, I'm not pausing to invite all the ancestors in and all that kind of stuff, but I have offered water. I offer you water. And here, Bashtet, would you kiss? Bashtet, bless. Okay. Maneki Niko, give us good fortune. I got my Bashtets here and my Maneki Neko and my beautiful cat paperweight. I figure you saw them last week. Fireworks. Okay, you want to come out. So we have the Fool and the Six of Pentacles, and then we'll take one more, which is the Eight of Cups. Of course, I have not asked a question. I'm just like throwing these cards together here, so I'm not expecting much. The Fool is a youth without direction, drifting through life undisciplined and frivolous. He is concerned more with the trivia of life than with its substance. Soft-featured and androgynous, he has a naive and an inexperienced look. He is surrounded by a great void, symbolic of all the opportunities open to him and waiting to be filled. He seems blissfully unaware of the awaiting chasm, for the cares and worries that would beset a more mature person don't disturb him. His feline companion issues a warning, but to no avail. The Fool notices nothing, even when the cat's sinking her teeth into his leg. Okay, beginning of an adventure, enthusiasm, new opportunities, all that. Six of Pentacles talks about money that's not worked for. That's how it's established in my head, but let's see what this one says. Wow, big one. An elderly lady, one of those quiet, unsung cat persons who dwell in every city, large and small, lovingly cares for any stray feline that comes along. These cats belong to no one. They are denizens of back alleys, cellars, and unused caves. They are tough, wary, and wise, as they must be to survive, yet they have come to trust the cat lady, to welcome not only her gifts of nourishing food, but also her gentle petting of their heads and her soft, warm words. The lady herself is in modest circumstances, not poor, but certainly not rich. She can afford some unpretentious jewelry, without which she'd feel unfit to appear before any cat. She willingly shares her modest meals with creatures less fortunate than she, for whatever she lacks in material things she makes up for in love. Like windows in a wall, the pentacles are placed in a stable position to symbolize the dependability of her generosity. So what I would say here, the Fool talks about new things. I'm thinking about the people right now who are out of jobs and how we're moving into a new phase of support. Financial support that's supposed to be coming. That's the money that's not worked for. But also this new phase of helping your neighbor, of helping people. If you have anything extra, we're all home now, and it's a great time. Or I mean, we're not all home. People are working. I'm lucky to be home. I think I'm an oddball, but there are people that are not working, that can't work, that don't have jobs, industries that still are not up and running in full, like the theaters and the restaurants and the concert venues and the bars and all these kind of things. And so, while we're sticking close to home and reestablishing our home base, get to know your neighbors and figure out how you can help them, because they can help you too. But it's good to establish and know them enough in passing so that you can connect with each other, not to be like up each other's butts or, expecting friendship or, it's neighborliness. Here's who we are. Please let us know if you need anything. And then, of course, there are going to be neighbors that are going to force you to establish boundaries. But I think this is talking about sharing what you have. The Eight of Cups. Uh-oh, I think I'm going to have to put the air conditioning on again. I feel like I'm going to start sneezing. A man turns away from his clutter of cups that are empty and in disarray. He has tried many things, all of which have failed. He looks back at the one cup that remains upright and wonders, should he try once again? His companion cat, in the manner of its kind, does not look back. It moves toward the light, hopefully to better things. So yeah, walking away from the stuff that doesn't work. And again, I think we're looking at the things that we've left behind that we don't know if we ever will get back to them. So rather than pining on, what has changed and what we've lost, I mean, you have to grieve it. That's healthy. But rather than pining for it or waiting for it to come back, how about thinking, well, as long as we can't do that now, let's figure out a new way. This is the way new things get started, is looking at the new way to be. So thinking about, if I can't go back to this particular profession, what am I going to be able to do? I am so grateful that I'm retired, because I can't imagine the heartache of having to earn a living in the middle of this, particularly if you are an entrepreneur or somebody that does service work that can't work right now. Anyway, my heart goes out to you. So yeah, we're off on a new adventure. Look at how we can help each other out. Look at more establishing of community in your neighborhood. Sorry, I'm scratching because it's really humid and I feel like I'm getting bitten. Ugh. Anyway, Eight of Cups says, let's walk away from the old things that weren't working. It talked about him trying and failing and trying and failing. Walking away from the things that weren't working. So, it's always a yes to this deck. I mean, the old US Games decks, like I said, the meanings are going to be pretty rote, but that's not a reason why you shouldn't do it. If you're a cat person, you got to have the Tarot of the Cat, people. That's the beginning of the whole journey, right? So, thank you for watching. Thank you for clicking donate. Thank you for clicking subscribe and like and leaving a comment if you have one. I try to answer all the comments that I get. And I got more cat decks to come. I've got a live stream on Wednesday night at 8:30. I'll see you there. I do readings for all the signs. This past week was stellar. So it's up as a video. Watch it. See if it rings your bell. If it does, show up on Wednesday nights. It's always nice to have somebody live, and I give you guys opportunities to ask questions and stuff too. And then I'll see you on Friday for another Oracle unboxing. Until then, you know what I'm going to say. Stay safe. Wash your hands. Wear a mask. We know that these three things, physical distancing, washing hands, but number one is wearing a mask. We know it works, folks. So do that. Stay safe until I see you next time. This is the Zen Witch. Blessed be.